Hi everyone, it's Tammy Herman from So Cozy Designs, and today's video is all about the finishing of Twist and Shout. I'm really looking forward to this today because I love to do edge-to-edge quilting, but I do not own a long arm. So I'm looking forward to showing you how I get a great edge-to-edge pattern without a long arm. I hope it inspires you. Let's get going. The first thing I need to do, obviously, is get the quilt back ready. I usually wait till the quilt top is done and then go shopping for a really great back. But in this case, I found a back that I liked, and so I went ahead and bought it. So I've had this fabric for a little while. It has multiple shades of green in it and some of the gold, and the majority of the front of that quilt is greens and golds and some of these colors. So I felt like this would be a great back. It is a 44 or 42 or 44-inch wide, so I do need to assemble the quilt back, so I'll go get that done. The other thing I need to do is cut some batting. I have one open package here. I buy my batting in big rolls like this. I buy it online from Linda's. If you've not seen her online shop, she has great batting selections. You do not have to buy it in these big rolls. You can buy packages. So at this point, I have pieced the backing. I pressed it and got all the wrinkles out. I cut a piece of batting and I have laid that on top. And then I rolled the batting up on each side to the middle, and I use 505 spray to start to stick the batting to the back. I do not 505 the whole thing. I start right here in the middle, and I just do a middle part because I'm going to start my quilting right here. I have found if I try to 505 the whole thing, and then you start quilting, and as you push things out, you get wrinkles, and it makes a mess. So I 505 just a good hunk of the middle here, and now I am ready to put on the quilt top. So now I've added the quilt top, and I'm going to show you here what I meant when I said I roll up on each side and use the 505. So I have it centered on the backing, and I'm just going to take this edge. My table is not wide enough for the whole quilt, so it goes over the edge a little bit, and I'm just going to roll this toward the center. This is about the middle right here, and I'm just going to take a little 505 and put it right here, just a small section, and I'm going to stick that down. And I have already done that on the back. The batting is already stuck to the back, and now I'm sticking the quilt top to the batting. And I will not do this all the way across. I will do it just a small distance in the middle where I'm going to start quilting. I find I do that because I do not have a long arm. I do all of my quilting on my small sewing machine, and that means I'm moving this quilt all over the place all the time, whether I'm doing free motion or whether I am doing an end-to-end. It doesn't matter. This quilt is going to move all over the neck of my small sewing machine. So having this down and sticking is imperative. So that's about all the further I'm going to go. As you can see, I still have some quilt left, but I just want to do the middle because then I'll work my way out all these different directions, and I'll stick some more as I get ready. But I want just to get the middle going, and then I'll go on the other side here in a minute and do that. Then I do this is probably, you might think it's overkill, but like I said, I'm moving this around on my sewing machine all the time. So then I take very large safety pins and I'm going to pin it. In addition to sticking it, I'm going to pin it around this area where I've done the 505. Now you may have noticed that I am not in my design studio right now. I am working at my kitchen table. So welcome to my kitchen. I will tell you, well, I'm here because I do not have a table big enough in my design studio to lay a quilt out. But even if I did, I highly recommend doing quilts this way, because if you're tired of cooking, then this is perfect way to say, oh, obviously I can't cook, we can't eat at home tonight because I have a quilt on the table and I don't want to move it because it will shift and that would be terrible. So just a couple hours ahead of supper, put a quilt on the table and really make it it would be terrible to move it, and then you can eat out. And then when you get home, you can move the quilt and get on with your day. Highly recommended. You know I'm kidding, right? I'm just kidding. But it does work. Now my quilt is all ready, but the next thing I need to do is to select a quilt design. As I've told you, I do all my quilting on my standalone machine. And so I use the embroidery unit on my machine. And I go to this website almost always. It's called Designs by Juju. Her products are amazing. I use her end-to-end quilting, embroidery designs for quilting. But if you are into applique or embroidery or in the hoop project, she has all of that as well. I've done almost all of the different kinds of work that she has, and they're all amazing. So there's pages and pages of quilt designs, and they're made for every machine. They're very inexpensive, and they are accurate and wonderful. So I am going to pour through the Designs by Juju website and find my quilting pattern. I will put the link to her site in the description of this video. So if you are looking for it, you will be able to find it. So I've been looking at the quilt and getting ready to put the quilting on it, and I've been thinking about what it is I want to use for my quilting pattern, and I've decided, the name of this quilt is Twist and Shout, which makes me think of the song, which is a party song. It's a happy get up and enjoy yourself kind of song. So I decided the quilt pattern needs to reflect that same thing. So look at this. I have decided I am going to quilt this in champagne bottles and champagne glasses. How can you not love that? That's pretty fun. Our next order of business is to select a thread color. So this quilt has quite a bit of green. It has some peach and some reds and all kinds of different colors. So no matter what color we select, there will be places where it'll show and places where it won't show. So here's one green that I can pile in here, and it looks really nice on that block, but I don't know, when I get out to some oranges, it's going to show up. I could choose the green. I could choose this kind of a taupey color, I guess. That's not bad. That's going to show up, but it's not going to show up great on the negative space. So maybe that one's not, because I really do want the quilting, since I'm doing a fun quilt pattern, I want it to show up on the negatives, on the negative space. So here's kind of a goldish, I guess you'd call it. Would show up in the negative space, but it also doesn't really match any. I mean, there's a couple of gold blocks up in the top, so it might match like 2 blocks on the whole quilt, but I always could do a neutral. But if I'm really trying to get the champagne bottles to show up, I don't think that's going to do it. Now, I did find this one. This green is really a great match for the background. Can I flip that around so you can see on the back, that green is perfect. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is put this light green on the top and the darker, this little bit slightly darker green in my bobbin, and that way this will match the back. This will allow some amount of my champagne glasses and champagne bottles to show up in that, against that neutral color, but it won't be obnoxious. So the way I do quilting is I have a very, or I'm going to say very large, it feels like it's large, magnetic frame. So if I had to hoop a quilt, like put a quilt onto a hoop and then clamp it down, I don't think that I would have good success. I think it moves it around too much, and it's just not really my favorite thing to do. But because I have a magnetic frame, what I can do is I will lay my quilt on top of this, and then I have magnets that hold it in place. So it's 9 by 14 inch size. It has a start and an end point on that end-to-end quilt pattern. My machine will run that, and then I will pick up the quilt. I'll just take the magnets off, pick up the quilt, shift it over. Where the end is, I'll just make that the new beginning, and I'll do another 9 by 14. And I just move through the quilt in blocks, and it goes pretty quick. So I'll show you how that works. So what I'm trying to do now is get my quilt positioned for my first 9 by 14 quilting section. I have measured and I've decided exactly where I want to start this, and I start in the middle and I work left and right, up and down. So I'm moving this over. I'm folding up against the neck of my sewing machine, and I'm putting this to where the starting dot, I know exactly where I want to start my 9 by 14. And the dot that I put, you cannot see it, I'm sure it's very light, but I did it with a water soluble marker, is directly below the needle. So I'm going to put that there. Now I have underneath this quilt my magnetic hoop. So I'm going to take my big magnetic pieces. So this is the first pattern I've ever done that actually quilts top to bottom. Usually they quilt left to right. So it's interesting. So this will be starting at the top of the 9x14 because the quilt's going way, the hoop is way down here underneath here. So I'm having to feel it to put my magnets on. I'm going to straighten this because I want it to go on there straight. And I'm going to put my magnets on. I have these big, long, these are extra heavy duty magnets, and I will go all the way around my hoop and put these magnets on to hold the quilt in place. I have to get the magnets to come apart first so that I can feel underneath here. This is the top of my hoop underneath the quilt. So I'm going to drop a magnet there. I can feel over here. This is the side of my hoop. So I'm going to drop a magnet there, and I am smoothing and, pulling out all the, both underneath and on top, all the wrinkle or any chance for a wrinkle. I'm smoothing it all out. And then I'm going to come up here. I have a small one right here. So I've put every magnet I have to hold this thing in place. And I have told my machine the pattern that I want, and I have told it what hoop I'm using. So here you can see, here was our first 9x14 section. I've moved it over, and then I just measured 9 inches over to the right and started again. And my machine is putting this 9x14 section right up against that one. You can't even tell where one stops and the other starts. If you measure carefully, you can see I used a water soluble marker to measure, so I knew exactly where to start. And this section goes right up against this one, and you cannot tell the difference. When you measure carefully, we will put this pattern all over the quilt, and you will not be able to tell that it was done in 9x14 sections. It will just look like one all over pattern. I am done with the quilting. That was a lot of fun, putting the champagne bottles and glasses all over this quilt. What a fun pattern. It is time to think about binding. You may remember the back I had selected for this quilt is this lighter or medium green, and I have decided that I'm going to use that for the binding as well. I very seldom use the same fabric for binding that I do for backing, but in this case, when I look all over this quilt, there's just a lot of colors, and I think to find a binding that would pull all the colors in might be too busy. And so I just like the idea of let's just make this match. So I've cut lots of 2.5-inch strips. I have sewn them all together, and the first thing I will do is go to the iron and iron this in half. Now I have pressed the binding in half. I'm going to start on the front and start pinning. What I do is I pin to the end, and then I'm going to stop 1/4 of an inch short of this edge, and I'm going to stitch to here and stop 1/4 of an inch, because then that will give us what we need to make a mitered corner. We stopped 1/4 of an inch from the end. We're going to use that 1/4 of an inch to help set us up for a perfect mitered corner. So I'm going to take, see the binding was going this way. It was lining up with the edge of the quilt. I stopped 1/4 of an inch from this edge. I'm going to fold this back at a 90-degree angle. See I make, this is a perfect 90-degree angle. finger press that. Then I'm going to bring this binding down and line the top of that up with the edge of the binding right there. And I've got a fold underneath there. And I'm going to pin that in place. So when I start stitching again, notice now I've got the raw edge right up against the edge of the quilt. I've got the fold that I just made inside that pin. And when I start to stitch, I'm going to start to stitch right here at the top and keep going now with the raw edge of the binding down the raw edge of the quilt down this side. I continued around folding the corners and stitching along the length and folding the corners and stitching along the length. Now I've come to this last corner that I folded this in to help make a finished end here. I'm going to take this loose end and tuck it inside that pocket. Takes a little bit to get it in there. I cut the piece about 2 inches longer than it needed to be so that I've got an overlap of about 2 inches that I'll put down inside that pocket. Takes a little finagling. This is probably the toughest part of a binding for me anyway. I'll get it in there. I'll have to get a tool to maybe push that down and get it to lay flat, but you see where it's going. There we go. Hey, there, it's getting in there. So then I will pin this in place, pin it here at the pocket, and I can finish sewing from here to here, and that will have the first half of the binding done. So from the front, we've put the binding on all the way around on the front side. From the front, when you fold this over, you can see how nice and clean that looks. We lined up the raw edge of the binding with the raw edge of the quilt. So now when you fold it over, you get a very nice looking finish on the front. Now to finish this off, this is probably the trickiest part. But if you take your time and you really work at it, it is really worth it. Now, you see that I left some batting and some backing that are sticking out past the edge of the quilt. What I'm going to do is fold this over and put the finished edge of the binding just past the seam, just past it, barely past it. I'm going to do that all the way down. This takes a little bit of work. I'm going to put it just past that seam. And then when I get this whole side pinned, I will flip it over and I am going to stitch in the ditch here on this front, and that should catch this binding on the back. But by stitching in the ditch from the front, I can make sure that the stitching doesn't show on the front, but that it catches this top on the back, and you get a nice finished edge. With the first edge done, we can take a look at how great this looks. So I folded it over and folded the raw edges up inside, pinned so that the top of the binding covered the seam, and then stitched, flipped the quilt over and stitched in the ditch here. And by doing that, it caught that edge perfectly. So it seals it up. It looks stitched in the ditch on the front, and it caught that edge on the back. It's perfect, and it's full with some batting and a little bit of extra fabric. So we'll keep going all the way around and finish this binding off. And finally, we have on the wall the finished version of Twist and Shout. I hope you've enjoyed working through the finishing with me. And that's it. We have concluded Twist and Shout. We managed to get the backing on with this lovely green. We've got the binding on, and we've got it all quilted up in champagne bottles and glasses. I hope you had a good time with it. If you've enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for sharing your day with me. Take care.